Man, oh man, I did not realize how much I had missed having Riggs and Murtaugh in my life. That's right, folks. Lethal Weapon is back with a bang in the episode El Gringo Loco, and I'm here to review it. I'm T-Rec87, and this is MG Nights. And while I think the series definitely plays the first episode a little bit safe, it does indeed wrap up the loose ends from season 1 in a perfect little bow. Now, here's the part where it gets a little spoilery. Season 2 kicks off, as you know, with Riggs in Mexico searching for Tito Flores, set 2 weeks after the finale of episode 1, where he had previously discovered Tito was indeed responsible for Riggs' wife Miranda's murder. Riggs is now out for revenge in a big way. Not far behind is Murtaugh, whose sense of devotion to his partner is only further exemplified and cemented. Murtaugh, while on the phone with his wife Trish, explaining that he had to find Riggs before he hurts himself, we quickly discover that, sure enough, Riggs has wasted no time piling up the body count just to get to Tito. And just when we think it's finally going to happen, Riggs is going to get his revenge, in comes Murtaugh to defuse the situation by telling Riggs in hilarious fashion that he loves him. Shortly after this, your run-of-the-mill goons show up and try and save Tito, and basically it all ends with a nice little explosion from a grenade that Riggs had brought with him, which he graciously let Murtaugh throw. Murtaugh has convinced Riggs to take Tito back to the States where Flores will face justice the proper way. They throw him in the trunk of the car, and as Riggs closes it, slams it on Murtaugh's finger, completely taking it off. They make it to a hospital to get the severed finger reattached, and while under the influence of grade A hospital drugs, Murtaugh lets slip to the nurse the contents of their trunk. When they get back to the car, they find Flores dead, with 2 bullets in his head. Internal Affairs has named the 2 as prime suspects in the murder, as Riggs definitely has the motive to kill the man. They are suspended pending investigation with badges and guns taken from them. As Riggs at first is completely okay with the fact that Murtaugh himself have been named the prime suspects, stating that he's done, Miranda's murder has been avenged, and we see him retire to his beachfront property to drink himself into oblivion. Obviously, deep down he is unhappy as he is not the one to have done it. Back at the police station, a man comes forward to actually admit to the murder, whom we find out was the nurse's brother, a border patrol agent. What we find out later on is actually that Flores' second in command, Raul Mendez, was the actual killer, who was blackmailing the border patrol agent with threats of violence against his sister. Riggs ends up discovering this because he visits the man in jail. Wanting to know how it felt to kill Flores and can tell this man did not do it immediately, he discovers Mendez's deception. Coupled with the fact that he does not want his partner to lose his career, the two set out back to Mexico to Flores' funeral to deliver justice. It all culminates with a great church shootout, with Mendez hiding next to Riggs once his lies come to light and the rest of the cartel turns on him, thanks to Riggs and Murtaugh. He states to Riggs he'll talk, he'll give him whatever information he wants to take down the cartel, but to just get him the hell out of there. It all ends with rockets, grenades, and the aforementioned hilarious window jump, which just so happened to be at ground level. But the way the director shot it, almost poking a little fun at the series himself with a dramatic jump out of the glass, only for the two to basically just fall flat on the ground. This was far and away my favorite moment of the episode. I love that they stuck that in there. And whether it was intentional or not, it had me laughing pretty hard. We also see the return of Jordana Brewster's character continuing to support Riggs as his counselor, telling him she'd definitely rather have him around than end his life. We see Riggs at the end of the episode struggling with the fact that Miranda's murder has been avenged, but it doesn't seem to make him feel any better. We see him visiting her grave stating, "I will always miss you," which even though the one thing he's been striving for that entire time that he thought would give him peace doesn't seem to make her death any less painful. Everything ends with Riggs and Murtaugh with their badges back on the force, and ready for whatever comes next. I will say this, I loved this episode. It's so nicely tied up all the loose ends of Season 1 while clearly setting up for a brand new adventure in Season 2. I think though that my only real problem is that I felt this episode felt like they were definitely playing things a little bit safe. Obviously, there's not going to be any huge surprises in the first episode of the season, but my problem is that this one tried way too hard, in my mind, to check all those lethal weapon boxes we've come to expect. Riggs drinking? Check. Gunfire and explosions? Check. Famous window jump? Check. And my biggest personal beef with this episode is the Murtaugh family. That relationship we've come to discover about the Murtaughs the last season, about Trish, definitely wearing the pants in the family, The kids being like what I'd like to call suburban rebellious. The whole thing. I understand this episode was just getting us reacquainted with everyone, but I felt these scenes were a little bit forced. This episode was about Riggs, and while I think Murtaugh and his family are just as important, this episode should really almost exclusively been his. It all felt a little bit tacked on to me. I usually love the scenes with Miranda and the kids. It's a family that truly resonates to me. These scenes just stuck out to me as unnecessary in the grand scheme of things, and it worries me a little bit that the series is following the formula that's developed a little too closely and is danger of burning itself out. By and large, though, this was a great episode. I would give it an 8 out of 10. And while it had a couple missteps, I cannot wait to see what the rest of the season will bring. What did you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're just dropping by to the channel for the first time today, you should stick around and subscribe. Typhon85 and I are always making videos every Monday through Saturday, and we'd love to have you guys back. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. That's it for today, guys. Thanks again. This is TREC87 signing off.